Good afternoon. How's everybody doing tonight? We're on right now, and this is Deborah Jones, and we're on with Blue Table Talk. I have a great speaker tonight. Her name is Roxanne Acosta. Did I say her name right?
You did
Elbert.
good. Hellberg. Mm-hmm.
Helbert. Good. And so she's running for county clerk. But before we get to her and listen to everything she's uh, believe in, let's talk about COVID as always. COVID, don't ever think that it's over because we in this for life, as far as I'm concerned. But we can know how to take care of ourselves. So do what you need to do as far as taking care of yourself with COVID. Wash your hands, mask up, keep your distance. So do that, and then probably, maybe, who knows, you'll be okay. Now, with that being said, don't forget the flu shots are out right now, so you need to go ahead and get that flu shot. The doctors want you to go ahead and get them early. I got mine yesterday as I went to the doctor, and so get that flu shot because with the flu and the COVID coincide with one another, it could be disastrous. So let's really, really, really take care of our bodies and get that flu shot. Also, this is October, and we know that October is breast cancer month. And so, with that being said, it's all about all types of cancer, ovarian cancer, whatever cancer you might have. So, women, we know that we have to get our exam. We have to examine ourselves. So, if we examine our breasts and everything, we have to really do what we need to do to make sure that we don't have any lumps in it or whatever. And go to the doctor. Make sure you go to your gynecologist so that he can see whether or not you have breast cancer or whatever. There's a walk, the gift of life. I always do a walk in October 29th. And I hate that I'm going to miss it this year. I go every year, and but this year I'm going to have to miss it because I have something to do. That's just it. But go and support the gift of life because it is a worthy cause. And go on the computer and go to giftoflife.com and sign up for it, donate to it because it is worthy. Okay, so you never know what's going on. I have a sister who had cancer. As a matter of fact, I had a small, it's a bit ovarian cancer, but the doctor cleaned it out and hey, I'm good. And I have two other sisters who had cancer. So I do walk. I take care of myself. I do my breast exams. I do whatever it takes to make sure that I am safe. Okay. So with that being said, and we got that all out the way tonight, we have on the podcast we have Roxanne Acosta-Hellberg, and she's running for county clerk. Hey Roxanne, how you doing
Hey,
tonight?
I'm doing great. Thank you for asking. How are you?
Great, great. You look real good. That's all I can say.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Well, look, a lot of people don't really know who Roxanne is. So, can you introduce yourself for us, please?
Sure, gladly. I someone told me to stop doing that. It's just a bad habit.
What?
So I'm from South Texas originally. I have been here since 2000. I came to Beaumont to work at Baptist Hospital. I have a bachelor's in healthcare administration, and so that's what brought me to the area. I then finished my master's degree, and I'm bilingual, so opportunities were just flooding from everywhere. My parents are immigrants. I was a migrant worker. I like to say this: my grandfather wouldn't let us off the fields unless lightning was hitting our heels. He was just a hard worker. So we
Yeah.
certainly learned that ethic, the value of work. So that's my background. Education was always drilled as an opportunity. It was the key to the next phase of life. And so I took the time that I was working out in the fields to plan my future.
Mhm.
And Jesus and I, had it pretty well worked out. So we moved to Beaumont. I finished my master's degree. That takes me to Houston, the Houston area, to run a hospital there. As an administrator, you're operating everything, overseeing everything, all the financial impact and the logistics of the operations. So I did that for a while, and my husband and I decided to start a family. And in this period of time, he started his own company in the asset recovery industry. And so we decided to start the family and wanted to do the traditional way. So I came home, started our family. Our business was operating in 4 states,
Mhm.
and I brought all my skills And I said, I have an idea. Let's take this nationwide.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did. We managed to operate our company since 2001, and that's what we've been doing. Dabble in real estate because I enjoy staying busy. And our 18-year-old is off to college now, and we have a 13-year-old son. And husband and I have been married for 24 years this December, and just been very involved. Been
Mm-hmm.
very involved in the community. It's always felt like home. It's just always felt like home, and just really love people. I really appreciate the just the diversity that we have here, and that word is so overused.
Right.
But I appreciate not only the ethnic diversity, but if you look at the religious, I mean, I just love people.
Mm-hmm.
I authentically love people, and I love learning about them. So that's a little bit about my background. I think in a little snippet.
Well, since you're a candidate for a county clerk, you're gonna have to love people because you're gonna run into a lot. So, what do you think are some of the qualities of a county clerk? What do you think they?
So it's an administrative job. And so
Mm-hmm.
I relate it very much to my healthcare background and of course our operation and business. You're managing a lot of departments if you look at the way it's broken down. So you have to have the administrative skills and be able to manage the large platform of individuals that operate and come in and out of that facility. The
Mm-hmm.
customer service piece of it, it's a service department. I like to say that, that office, and not many people really value the importance of the county clerk. It doesn't motivate them to say, hey, I got to go up, and vote because, the county clerk's, position's up. So it doesn't really do that. And it should, because it's a business or an office that manages everything from the time that you're born till the day Jesus says, vamonos.
Mm-hmm.
So that, that piece there, your real estate documents, your civil court documents are managed there. You have your business transactions, your DBAs. So there's a lot of activity that people need, and when you need it, you're frustrated because you don't have a good relationship with the individual, or I mean, different circumstances that could frustrate you. But administrative is a big part. You have a decent sized staff, about 34 people there. But you operate during the elections. I mean, that's the biggest piece out of that. That's a big operation.
Yes, huge.
Big operation.
Mm-hmm. And you have to
Um,
have people skill when you're doing all that because you just can't just bust up and get all frustrated just because. So you have to have people skill. So to
well,
be
you want the community to be the best, and so in that you have to relate to everybody that's here. I'm not servicing one group of people. I mean, it's all of us here. So you have to be able to communicate with the individuals and have them feel comfortable and have them know that they can trust you.
Mhm.
So that's one of the things that I'm really looking forward to. I
So
really enjoy that part of it.
I hear you say that you worked with administration. So I hear that. I heard you say that. So what qualifies you for the county clerk position?
So I said I have a master's in business.
Right.
I have been spending time since this opportunity came out from nowhere. I had no plans of running for county clerk. Jesus and I did not agree on this, nor was it something that we had planned. So it came at me. Local leaders approached me to consider it, and I said, kind of played around with the idea, and I was going to say no, and yes came out. So I'm like, all right, man, I didn't want to be Jonah, Jonah
Right.
taken
Yeah.
by the whale. I
Yeah.
didn't want to be that. So I said, all right, buddy, I've been through these crossroads with you. And if I don't do it, I know you're going to throw me in, and that's not as fun. So I'm like, all right, I'll obey. So what do I bring, or what background I have? Again, my MBA, all
Mm-hmm.
management.
Mm-hmm.
That office, again, is very administrative. The customer service, working in the hospital industry. I had to work with every single department there: nurses, doctors, aides, you know, maintenance staff, housekeeping staff, everybody. So that was my role there. And I think all of those things that, have come together for today in that office give me a really good understanding of how to operate. What I've been doing, going back to my story, when I decided to do this and fully commit, I started visiting a lot of individuals throughout the state to get to know the operations of the office. I've known Carolyn for a number of years. Uh, I didn't get a chance to visit with her before she retired, but I visited with Teresa some. And then, now we have Lori Leister on interim, and she's rather busy, so I don't, really disturb her, with some of the detail stuff. But I've been visiting with a lot of individuals throughout the state to learn the operations and, what works, what doesn't, what can we do better. There's a lot of opportunity in that office. So I think all of those skill sets that I have used to work our business and the healthcare industry background and just being in the community, having the connections with individuals. And you and I had the pleasure of meeting a few months ago, and we just, as humans, we hit it off. We just built a good relationship. So I appreciate that.
What is your vision to move the office? Move it on, how do you see yourself 5 years from now when you become a county clerk?
So there's a lot of opportunity for growth in that office. Systems are antiquated, so I want to bring them up. Carolyn served her time. She did, her best based on her knowledge base at that time. I want to come in with my fresh eyes and again, use what's out there and bring it up to date. So that's a big opportunity. The voter apathy, Deborah, is really, really sad to me. I mean, we all know what has happened for somebody to have the privilege to vote, yet we just dismiss it. We have over 147,000 registered voters, close to 148,000. You know how many people show up? I know you've worked some of this stuff. 20% maybe on a good year. The voter apathy is just really sad to me. So one of the things that came, as I was just kind of thinking about all of this is let's start doing some little town halls and see how effective those are, and just getting people comfortable and understanding. A lot of times we're so busy, no one has time to research Roxanne, Carolyn Goodry, or all of us on the, from the governor to, it's very hard. We all have a life. So I was thinking, maybe if we did a little town hall sessions and found the leaders in those areas to help encourage people to come in and learn. You vote however you wish for whoever you have a relationship and whoever you believe in. But let's be intelligent about what we're doing, because if not, our community is stagnant. It doesn't have the best potential for tomorrow, for your children, your grandchildren. I'm still, and I hope to stay in just the mom role for a while. And so those are the things that I want to see happen. Have people get involved and understand how big of an impact and the sacrifices that were done so that you could show up. And that's one part, the election piece of it. The rest of the documents, you're going to need something. I want you to feel comfortable to be able to pick up the phone or come by and say, look, I don't know where to start, can you please help me? And you feel comfortable to be able to do that. So that's what I see.
I see. Let me talk to my viewers for a minute. I see a lot of my viewers on my phone, but I need you to transfer your name and everything over to the comment page and just say hi to Roxanne or myself. And I know you have questions, because look, this is a crucial election, and we need people in office that's going to work and work hard and do what needs to be done. So you guys, I know you have questions, but come on the comment page, say hi, give me the questions, and let's get this ball rolling. Okay? So let me get back to Roxanne. Roxanne, I know the county clerks work with confidential information. I know that. I've been around and everything. But how would you maintain the confidentiality and security of the information you work with?
Everybody has to understand the impact that information can have in our community. It's a very tight-knit community. You share one thing and, we all played the little game, start with the message and see what happens at the end. It can impact so many people's lives. So I believe that making sure that your staff is very, very clear that every document you touch can create a domino effect for so many individuals. It's very, very critical. So, making sure the staff is on high alert and making sure that everything they engage in is mindful of that, because there are a lot of private documents that are stored there.
Yeah, a lot of documented, and it's like you said, it's security, and it has to be secured. But we just need to know, well, how would you do that, and how would you uh, run this office, and how would you do, what need to be done to move it on? Because I know that Laura was not she was in there. She was hired for something else, and she's in there now.
Mm-hmm.
I know that.
Right.
And so she says herself, she doesn't know the office as well. She needs to know it. So, but I'm sure she's doing a good job. I don't know because like you've hung around. I hadn't, haven't really been around her, but she seems like she must be doing something, you know, to get the office running and keep it in good shape or whatever. Because like you said, Carolyn did an awesome job. For 16 years, she did an awesome job. Not to just toot her horn on that, because I know her, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, she did a great job. I mean, she was
Mm-hmm.
always, when she came out, she was always out there to on TV to tell what's going on. She kept the public knowledge and knowledgeable, excuse me, and that's what needs to be done, because we need to know what's happening, with the election. We need to know. We don't need anything under the cover, and so that
No,
it does.
integrity is a big part, and
Integrity is a
integrity
great part.
covers.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's that. That basically folds in your question beforehand with regards to how are you going to make sure that those documents. We're human, and people make mistakes. I think just making sure that everybody understands that that one time mistake can create, again, a domino effect that you can never catch back. And everybody's so much into the latest news. You can't do that in that office.
No,
You can't
can't.
do that. No. So.
Okay, so I was at the forum you guys did at Cathedral Faith. And so I know one of the questions they asked the county clerks um, was about an election administrator. And you mentioned that you would not have one. Why is that?
So that's a pretty controversial question with regards to, preference.
Hmm.
So not many people understand what the election administrator is. So
Exactly.
basically what happens is they remove the responsibility of elections and the
Hmm.
registrar, okay, which is basically where all the voting records are maintained, to an election administrator. So at that point, I would not have anything to do with it if that's
Hmm.
the decision that was made. It takes a lot of money to manage that type of program. It's an elected or appointed position by the judge, the county clerk, the tax assessor, the Republican, and the Democrat chair. And 4 out of 5 individuals need to be in agreement
But wouldn't that,
to get
but
rid of.
I'm sorry, by having
No,
it, by
so they would
having
need.
it, oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Don't let me
No,
cut you off.
no. So you would have to have 4 out of 5 in order to
Mhm.
make a decision about that
Right.
individual. So that's the only way you could change that.
Change it. Right.
Um, so to me, having no checks and balances, that was my point. We like to have checks and balances to make sure everything is, the way it should be. We're talking about integrity. We're talking about doing things the right way.
Hmm.
You want them done the right way. I want them done the right way. I just don't feel like that lends itself for that. The system that we have now, where the county clerk handles the election and the registrar is handled by Allison Getz, the tax assessor,
Hmm.
is working very well. She's done a really good job at cleaning the rolls, keeping up with them. It's a big job, and you need a staff. Surprisingly, what we have now is been working, but it takes 300 individuals from the community that we hire during election, plus the staff. It's a big operation. It's a big election, job.
Well, wouldn't that take some?
So
Wouldn't that take some work off of you, having an election administrator? Wouldn't that take some of the pressure off?
sure, it would. But what's best for our community?
Mm-hmm.
Checks and balances, or just giving me a job where I can have bonbons all day? So, I mean, like, I'm here to work for you. I'm here to make sure that what we do is right for you. So, that would not be in the best interest of our community, in my opinion. And I visited with a lot of individuals. I went through an election law training in Austin in August, and visited with a lot of counties that do have the election administrator and the county clerk. It's half and half.
Mhm.
Depending on what the community's wanting. I just don't, for our setup, I don't think it's a critical necessary thing. It's worked really, really well. The parties, each do their part.
Mhm.
Is it perfect? No. Who is perfect?
Mhm.
Um, but we've done really, really well. That would add an extra cost. A lot of people are going to attorneys for the election administrator because it's a lot of law interpretation. And we saw what happened in Houston. We've seen what's happened in various places where they just choose to leave the office, and you're on your own. Those people pack up and take their staff, and good luck. So I don't
I,
want
I,
that to happen.
I read a lot, and I read about election administrators and about the states who have them and everything. It seems like a lot of states do have them and everything. And I was wondering myself, why didn't Beaumont have an election administrator? Because it was these, and I read about what they're supposed to be doing and how they lead the office and help the county clerk out, because that's a big job. Being a
It's a
county
big
clerk,
job.
that's a big
It's a
job.
big job.
And
It's a big
you
job.
to be honest with you, just can't do it by yourself. So
No, no.
you need a right hand man to help you out. You know, so that's why I asked that question, because when they asked you about that, I was like, let me see, because I read that before they even asked that question. I'm like, okay, let's see what they say, and you know,
Hmm.
you guys say what you want.
Yeah,
I mean, it's your opinion. That's your
yeah,
opinion,
yeah. Yeah,
and you
and
and
that
you
may
said,
change tomorrow. I don't, things evolve, things, change, and maybe it's better later.
right.
It's evolving, and again, I'm after doing the best thing for our community, for our people. That's what I'm
Mhm.
after. So if that turns out that it's better when you look at all the numbers and you put everything together, great. I don't, I'm not going to sit here and die on that. I'm not going to
Right,
do that.
right. So
I'm not doing that.
what are your strength and weakness as far as being an administrator and running that
You
office?
know, yeah, life's a fun
You
journey, and you
have
get
the
to
most,
learn a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
You get to learn a lot. I've definitely grown through. We all grow, hopefully, through the years, and become better versions of ourselves, and shed the bad stuff, right? Get rid of all that bad. That's the part of our metamorphosis, through life. So I would say the strengths, very diligent about following through on things. The administrative piece of things. I'm real passionate about logistics and making things very efficient, making sure that we're saving money, not just being wasteful. I really believe in being responsible with your money, more than I am with my own. But I take an honor in that. If you're going to trust me with that, I believe in making sure that it's not only there but duplicate. Uh, what is multiplied? That's what I
Right.
mean. So those are some of my strengths that I bring to the table. I know how to work with people. I know how to engage with individuals.
Hmm.
I've been doing it my entire life. Weaknesses. Mm, let's see. We all have weaknesses. I would
Oh,
say that impatient is one that I like to get things done like now. It's like, let's get them done now. And so sometimes it's not realistic because you have many factors. But I have a tendency of making a list and making sure we're going through it. So I would say, yeah, more impatient is something that I continue to work on in my life.
like you are a micromanagement person.
I wouldn't say I'm a micromanager. I believe in people being independent, and if I don't have you got to hire the right person so you don't have to micromanage.
You have to micromanage.
So if you hire the right people, we're all working as a team, moving together as a team. Yes, you're going to have life
You're
get
gonna
in the
do
way of it. You have life get in the way, but you dance. You learn to dance on that, and you move along.
that.
But if you all have the same goal, you adjust and keep moving. So no, I'm not. I do not like micro. I don't like being micromanaged. So I do not like
Me either.
micromanaging.
Me either.
No, I don't like it. I don't like it because I'm like, I know what I'm doing and I know how to do it. So let me be.
Yeah. How would you ensure that all your court records are up to date?
How to make sure?
How do you, yeah, ensure that all of them are up to date?
Well, you have as far as like what specifically?
Like all your documents and everything that you're doing, um, DBAs and your whatever goes on in county clerk's office. How you make sure that everything that you're doing is up to date.
Well, again, I think, going through a system that will alarm you, when you're missing documents. I visited with the county clerk in Galveston, and they
Hmm.
have an amazing system, very up to date, and it alerts them, not alarms them. It'll alert them when something is missing. It won't let them continue forth. So I think that is a big, we're human. Again, we're human. We make mistakes, so we want to minimize those chances of missing or not having documents up to date. So I think you're relying on the systems that we have in place is a big part of it. And I mean, that's a big job also to when you're changing and upgrading, your information systems. And I've been through several of those in my past. And most companies are really good about supporting that transition. So
Right.
I think that's a big opportunity for us to make sure that all of those gaps are closed.
What do you think about the new voting machines?
So I had the privilege of evaluating both. I spent the time and I put forth the effort to make sure that I was very familiar with both systems. I know that Hart was here for a long time,
Hmm.
and as well as they did, I found that the two systems were rather different. And I mean, just sitting in the rooms where people were evaluating them, the responses that I heard from a variety, in the group was that they really liked the new one that we have, the ES&S. It was just more up to date, more modern, and I like that part of it. I mean, if you can go to the bank and just put your face up to a screen and do a transaction, I'm like, why can't we move to that type of system now? Our the old stuff was just so antiquated when you had to do the little dial thing, and so the new stuff is really modern and a lot more modern than what we're used to. And having that opportunity for that grant was just, I mean, it was just a grand gift. So that was really good.
Was it considered when they because you said you had the opportunity to look at both of the machines? Was it considered when they got the machines that the annual license support fee for the ESS was like 236,000 and versus Hart was only 103,000? Was
Those numbers weren't shared with us. We didn't have access to those numbers. So our recommendation was simply what we liked best as far as the the functionality of the system. But those numbers were not shared with us. We didn't know what the contracts cost, what the machines cost, what any of the software maintenance upgrades. We were not informed of that. All we said is this is our preference if
mhm.
it's in our budget and it makes sense, in the grand picture. So
I was
yeah, we didn't have access to
now
that.
I was at the meeting when they introduced the Hart and the ESS machine, and honestly, I like the Hart. I guess because it's been
Did you?
around. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But like you said, we all have opinions, and so I like the Hart, but they chose the ESS. So
I just found that the ES&S was, like I said, just a lot more modern stuff that we're used to today.
mhm,
And then the functionality, there was several functional things that just seemed to be more just user friendly, and for of course on our end, I've got to think about this side of things as
mhm,
I'm moving forward. So there were a lot of functional things there that were going to benefit us as a whole. So
right. So, but the thing about it was they didn't bring it. Did they bring it to the public too, or was just in the meeting itself? They didn't bring that up to the public and say, okay, this is what you want or anything like that. They just voted on it. Whoever was
well, Well, no, no. Actually, they had two. Each company had time to do their introduction.
Right.
to the community. And so we had a pretty good level of participation.
Okay.
And like I said, when I sat through both of them,
Mm-hmm.
and the responses that I heard from all the individuals around me were very complimentary. And it wasn't necessarily one party over another, because I know that becomes a big issue. So it wasn't like that. It was, just mixed, and everybody just felt a lot more comfortable with the functionality of the ESNS and the modernization of the system. So.
Yeah. Well, okay, so you know that a courtroom can be very stressful environment. How would you communicate with people to ensure that they can stay calm and let it run? And how would you tell people to do it? How would you fit into that?
Well, as a hospital administrator and just running our asset recovery company, I have to stay calm through a lot of very difficult situations. I have to do that. And engaging with people every day, we all have to stay calm. We all have to be
Yes,
civil.
yes,
We
yes.
all have to be civil in this short-tempered life. People that, just different personalities. But
Right.
I think just we've forgotten that we're human. We're human. And you may be having a bad day, but you don't mean to be ugly or mean or whatever. I don't mean to be ugly or mean. I We've just forgotten that. So I think just going back to look, you know, being in the court's not a fun thing all the time.
Mhm.
Maybe for one party versus the other, but just remembering that we're just human, and we're offered grace, and in that, as an employee and being in that arena, you've got to stay calm
We have to
and
say,
not
yeah.
not uh not add any more fire, any more flames of the fire. So, and that's what I've done all my life in our industry. Like I said, covering all over the country and just having to show up and put out fires. I mean, I'm used to doing that. So.
So I hear you. Let me before I ask that question, let me talk to my viewers again. Okay,
Sure.
guys. Like I said, I see you guys on my phone, in which I better see it, but I need you to come on the comment page and ask questions because, like I said, this is a crucial election. We have look like every office they have two people running for it, and so we need to get the best person in each department to run. The city of Beaumont and whatever. So we got to get out here and vote. And so I need you to come on pages. Like I said, this is Roxanne Hellberg, and she's running for Jefferson County Clerk. And so we need to talk to her and see what her views are and see what's going on. I'm asking the questions, but I need you to ask questions because I don't know what's in your mind. So come on the page and ask the questions, and I'll throw it to her. Okay, so Roxanne, what do you think would be? I know you said wait before I ask that. What I know you said you visit Galveston County Clerk. You saw Laura. You visited several people. So what do you think would be the toughest aspect of this job?
So I didn't get to visit with Lori much,
Okay.
just to clarify, because she has a lot on her plate, and I
Mhm.
did not want to add extra to that. So, other than just, quick, how's the, just basic stuff, but I have not visited with her. So you're asking what's the biggest challenge?
Mhm.
Like you said earlier, it is a huge job.
Mhm.
There is no way that anyone can learn and know this job in a matter of a few months.
Mhm.
I visited with individuals throughout the state, and people that have been in this office for over 16 years can't say they know everything.
Mhm.
So the biggest challenge is getting some grace from the community. I will have to come in, and May will have an election, and so just getting some grace. The good thing is that you have staff there that Carolyn trained for years, and unless they're going to run away from me, I intend to embrace their knowledge and embrace their experience,
Mhm.
so that we can minimize the challenges, because it's like anything else. And one thing that I've flourished in, Deborah, is I've always been thrown into opportunities, and I've got to figure them out. And so I've learned to really use my resources, my community, to learn about the gaps, minimize those and speed them up in the fixing of them, so that you don't even notice that they're happening, or you show up and you're like, man, this is the best thing we've ever had, because I want that's the service I want to provide. So I think that's going to be the biggest. Just provide me some grace, please.
Yeah, because
Just give me some grace.
yeah, like I said, you're gonna need a secondhand man, because you're gonna need somebody to let me per se train you, and some of the aspects that's been going on in the county clerk's position. So I don't know. We just have to wait and see what goes on. As
I have a group of individuals ready to come in my first day. They're
mm-hmm,
ready. And these are people, again, that are, have over 80 years of experience. They're
mm-hmm,
all ready to, they've already said, when you need us, we'll be there. I mean, the people that I've created relationships just from August that are so excited about what we have before us, and
mm-hmm,
to be able to share their knowledge base so that I don't have a lot of gaps.
mm-hmm.
So that's what I have. So,
Now
yeah.
I worked as a clerk, as whole clerk. I
Uh-huh.
worked how many years? I can't remember how many years I worked. Probably five. Well, I've been retired since 18. So since 18.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that aspect of it. And so as far as going inside the courthouse, I mean, what is there to? I mean, it's a lot. I'm sure there's a lot to learn. So, but we just have to want to do it. That's what you just can't hire people that, okay, I need a job, blah this and that. But you got to want to do, even with you have to want to do that, because it's a big task. I mean,
I'm glad.
it might look
I'm
pretty
glad
now.
you.
It might look pretty now, but then you
Yeah.
got to when you get into the office, everything's gonna be thrown, in your face. So
And there's several departments that are within that office. So again, as an administrator of a hospital, I was the overseer of, I mean, I can't even count them, how many departments we had. It's very similar to that. You have your leaders established, you have them trained well. I mean, fortunately for us, from Carolyn's background, and they have the experience. And again, I hope that they're wanting to stay and they find me to be of confidence, that they feel comfortable to work with me. But I'm grateful that you realize that it is a huge job, because it is huge.
yeah,
And it's going to take, my plan is to take every single department and look at the functionality of it, and find the gaps of where we can improve them. And if they're perfect, then leave them alone, right? Move along to the next one. So that when you show up and you need a document, you're not sitting there waiting. We're lost, we're confused, or whatever.
you've
We want to
already
make
got
sure that
it in
we're
place.
providing you.
Yeah, that you got to keep in place. Okay, but okay,
Right.
so you are, so per se, county clerk. Okay, so what, as an election officer, what was your opinion about the 2020 election, and was it stolen?
Oh gosh.
It's going to come up
Oh, I know.
somewhere. So how do
Oh,
you
it's
feel?
already come up.
Oh yeah. So how do you feel about it?
It's one of those things. The states had their protocols. The states had their laws. Um, was a practice and behavior. Sorry, I keep clicking my phone for messages. But so the states have their laws.
Mhm.
Were those laws broken, or were those laws legitimate and people showed up and did what they were lawfully able to do?
Mhm.
Was it the right thing? I wasn't in the room. Until you're in there and you're evaluating every single piece and can monitor and manage every single piece, how does anyone know? How does anyone know?
Yeah.
You've got to have your people. You've got to, again, going back to integrity. And that's one of the things that I get asked about a lot.
I'm sure you do.
And my impression is simply that, I can't answer again if those laws were in place and those laws were followed and those votes were legal. Not, it's hard to say. I don't want it to happen here. I want this place to have to be an example for, I mean, a lot of those states that had some of those questionable activities. I mean, they spent a lot of money and a lot of time, a lot of
Huge,
resources.
huge amount of money. Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, as a county clerk, what would you do if you were faced with a conflict of personal and professional interest in your work?
Um, with regards to,
What goes on in the office, whatever goes on in the office.
so
I mean,
a
you
personal,
here you are with a personal interest, but your professional will have to take over. So how would you deal with that?
you know, I'm moving on integrity. That's one of my platform items. So that can't exist. I know that people, you know, you have used offices for their own benefits and, you know, perks and whatever. I have a reputation, Deborah, to do the right thing, whether you're looking at me or you're not. So I don't really have a concern there. My ultimate, and I mean, this is a service job for me.
Mm-hmm.
My ultimate worth is going to come from making sure that things are done the right way. So my personal doesn't play a factor in that.
Right,
My personal gain of anything.
right, right. I'm looking at your card as we speak, and I see you have on here efficiency, integrity,
Mm-hmm.
diversity, and
Mm-hmm.
ethical elections. So hit one or two of those. Hit on those.
So we touched diversity earlier, and everybody always assumes, well, let's go with the race. I mean, I'm Hispanic. Are we diverse in that factor? No, we have no representation of any Hispanics in our community as far as leadership.
Mm-hmm.
This is our opportunity to do that. Let's look at the religious diversity. We have a grand, diverse religious representation in this area.
Mm-hmm.
We need to be fair. We need to be fair with that. What about our let me see what other factors can come into. I mean, everybody always runs to the race thing. I don't necessarily look into that. You know, there's so many factors in that. Just really being fair and embracing. If we're going to run into the race thing, I'm Hispanic, so I love the cultural differences, and I have friends of all sorts, and I love them.
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end, again, we're human and we find the human benefit of working together as one body instead of tearing each other apart.
Right.
So I appreciate that piece. Let's see, the integrity, we touched on that as well. We have an opportunity to make sure that everyone feels comfortable with that
Mm-hmm.
operation in that office. When you need a document, that it's there, it's not missing. You have, you know, your real estate documents. Things have been going on throughout the country. I know in Dallas, an individual went in and claimed a deed to someone's property. Well, what happens then? You need someone who's going to be on top of that and be watching those things. Someone who's going to manage things with integrity and minimize any threats to our community. So I would touch on those two.
Okay, cool. That's cool. Okay, so you in your department you deal with marriage license, right? Kind of clerk.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and you deal with divorce license, and you deal with wills and probates, right? So let me hit on license on marriage license. What do you think about how do you feel about issuing same sex marriage
So I've been asked about that question too.
license?
And my response to that is simply that there's a law.
Mm-hmm.
I may not agree with the law, I may embrace the law. It's still the law. So my job is to follow the law. I have a responsibility to the Secretary of State, to, you know, the laws that are done federally.
Mm-hmm.
It is my job to represent what is put out there.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my job. My personal emotion, feeling, and interpretation is irrelevant. It's irrelevant.
It's the law.
Law. So we're gonna follow the law because as
You
cool
have
as I look in orange, I don't want to be in orange.
you have to.
I had to.
But that was a cute one right there.
Yeah, it's
I
cute.
didn't think about orange.
Yeah, right, right. I'm like, no, I don't want to be.
Yeah. So, tell me about a time when you had to comply with policy and procedures that you did not agree with. That probably was one of them. How was it handled?
So, I believe in challenging with respect.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's an opportunity for me to get us to think about something a little different, that
Mm-hmm.
may be a little better, then I'm all for it. At the end of the day, if I'm not the one that gets the privilege of making the final decision, then what do they say? Suck it up, buttercup. so, so that's kind of where I'll have to, that's just the way it's going to be.
Right. Right.
So,
So this might be my last question to you, maybe. I mean, because I kind of feed off of you, and when you say something, because a lot of questions that I don't have, I feed off of you. So
sure.
I like
Yeah.
what, I like what I'm hearing, but there are two candidates running for this office.
Right.
Why should I vote for Roxanne?
Oop, is this better? Because I was
Oh
like, can't wait. Is that
yeah,
better?
I
So
like
I
I
told you, I told you that it was going to start
like.
changing,
I
in
thought
a
you was
few.
talking about the darkness outside of the clouds and stuff like that gonna go under.
No, yeah, no, I knew it was going to start changing. So I was like, I better have a backup here because I'm
Yeah,
sitting in my car. So, okay, so why vote for me?
I vote for Roxanne.
I bring the level of administrative background with my healthcare administration work, running our own company since 2001, knowing what it's like to manage not only one office but multiple, departments. Just managing. I have the experience of managing, being able to grow things. Like I said from the very beginning, I took our business in 4 states, from 4 states, and took it nationwide. So I know how to do that. My reputation in the community of working with everyone and anyone is pretty solid. My history and reliability of doing something and following through is pretty strong. I have been in the community and have served. I'm currently the chair for the Texas Workforce Commission office here locally. So I serve in that capacity. I've been a board member for the Chamber of Commerce. I am a board member for the Red Cross. I'm a board member for the Baptist Foundation. All of these are honorable things that I've been doing through my life, not just today, but this has been a part of my life. I know about service, and that office is service. I'm
Mm-hmm.
servicing our community in one capacity or another and making sure that you're comfortable to show up there. So those are the things that I bring to the table. My financial acumen, it's a big budget. It's a decent sized budget. You've got to know how to operate it. And if you can, save some money here and save some money there, everybody's into saving right now because of the circumstances that we find ourselves in for whatever reasons. We always have to save for a rainy day. And so that's what I'm about, just making sure that your dollars are spent well. So we have that piece of it. I have the education, the I bring all of that to the table, and I'm ready to take this job and provide you the next level of service from Miss Carolyn Guidry. And she and I've chatted a few times when we've run into each other, and compliment her 16 years of wonderful work and commitment. Because it's a big job, I would, a lot of people run after a few because they're always coming at you for one thing or another. Somebody's upset, and so you're
Mm-hmm.
always having to fix that. And so she did a really good job. And so I want to be able to, review that foundation and move us to the next level, get us to bigger, better, if that's what's needed here. And where y'all are wanting to be comfortable. We're not going to grow. We're not going to get better if we're just getting the same thing. So that's what I bring to the table. I bring my diverse background. I bring my ability and my willingness because, like you said earlier, you have to want to do this job. I'm not going to be showing up and expecting all my, people to do the work. I'm going to be in there. I'm going to be in there, learning every operation. I've been to some offices. The clerk has no idea what happens. It baffles me. It absolutely baffles me. So from that aspect, I like to know I'm hands on so that if someone's missing, I can fill in the gap. And I'm very much about that. So, just providing you with something a little different than what, taking it to the next level from what Carolyn did. And being able to have you comfortable to show up to the office and say, hey, Roxanne, you messed up on this, or I don't like that, or whatever, and I'm like, all right, fine.
I will, right? I will, right?
That's why I said it. But you know what? We can do this. Mm-hmm. And I can sit here and hear your concerns, and I can express the reasons for them if they're justified or not, but we can come to an understanding. Right. And we find the best solution. And that's what I'm about. I'm about finding the best solution for us. That's why you need to vote for me. Everybody needs to vote.
I'm wondering why. And I know the community will say, well, why should I vote for her? What is she all about? About this, about. That's why, that's why I am glad that we have podcasts. And that a lot of people might not have heard you at Church of Cathedral of Faith. A lot of people might not have heard you somewhere else that you've been. So, come on the podcast and we, speak out. And if they don't look at it tonight, trust me, they will. They will.
And so, you should. You should. And, when I get in office, I expect people to show up and say, hey, what are you doing with this? Where's your integrity? Where's the efficiency?
You say you're going to do this and you didn't do it. You're not doing it.
And that's where we are failing ourselves. We do not check ourselves, are the individuals that we put in office, that we should be doing that.
Right. Now, how long does the county clerk office? 2 years? Last 2 years?
No, 4.
4 years. 4. Every 4 years. Okay, cool. Cool. Okay, guys, now you have to get out there and vote. The last day to register to vote is October 11th. The last day to apply for a mail ballot is October 28th. We've got to get out here and vote. Now, we get out here and vote for our national and our state and everything, but you got to think about the local is the most important thing than going out there and voting for anything else. Even going out there voting for your president. Local, whatever you do in your local offices, that's what really, really counts. So let's get out there. If you're not registered to vote, and if you know somebody who is not registered to vote, please get them registered to vote by October 11th. If you know somebody that's older than 65 or just have a disability, please get them to mail in and vote. Do that mail-in ballot. So we've got to get out there. October 28th is it. Okay, early vote is October 24th through November 4th. Election day is November the 8th. Now, we can't stress that enough. Get out, get your people in there to vote. We just had Roxanne. I'm gonna have many more on here on my podcast on Tuesday nights, and I need you to listen to all of them before you make a final decision. Listen to them and see what's going on. So because that's where you learn how to. That's where you go and vote for who you want to vote. That's where you listen to, when you listen to them and see what they're talking about or what their views are, what their vision is. But they have to have a vision. But then you need to go out there and vote. Let's register to vote if you're not registered. Let's mail in if you got the mail-in ballot. And remember, the election day, early election is October 24th, which is really soon, through November 4th. Election day is November 8th. Thank you, Roxanne. I really, really, really appreciate you tonight. You were awesome, and good luck on your campaign. And like I tell everybody, if I can do anything to help you out, let me know. And hey, I'm there. So can't do everything, but I can do something.
Deborah, I'm just gonna say this, and then I know we're closing out. I sincerely appreciate this opportunity. I have been shut out. And it's the saddest thing that we can do to ourselves. whether you agree with my party affiliation or not. We have to pick a party, and Carol and I, danced around this issue. It's like, why do we need to have a party as a county clerk? I service everybody. I don't check your voter record when you walk in through the door. So I sincerely appreciate your open mindedness and the opportunity, and for treating me so fairly. Like I said, it hasn't always been that way, and that's one thing that I push. Again, we're humans. Let's treat each other like humans and be respectful. We may not agree on 100%, but I can assure you that we probably agree on a good 60-80%. And so
Yeah.
if we can just focus on that and move forward, I plead people, you're either going to be happy with the same thing, or we're going to step up and say, you know what, we want more, we deserve more, and we have an opportunity for more. And I want to be that for you. So again, thank you so much for this time. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Stay on for a minute. Let me get them out. Okay, guys. Thank you for tonight. You always support me on Blue Table Talk. And next week, I can't remember who I'm having next week, but I'm gonna have somebody next week. I think it's Julia on next week. Julia Rodriguez. I think I said her name right. And so
Mm-hmm.
she'll be on next week. So listen to these podcasts and see what's going on. God bless you. God keep you is my prayer. If I can help somebody as I pass along this way, then I know that my living is not in vain. Smooches, y'all. Bye.
That's it.